The galaxy did not understand what had changed at first. Trade lanes still worked. Councils still met. Fleets still patrolled the borders they had guarded for centuries. On the surface, nothing looked different, but something had shifted. The first sign was silence. Human space, once loud with debate, negotiation, and endless requests for access, had gone quiet. Not hostile, not closed, just still. Ambassador Rilkesh noticed it during a routine council session. He was old, cautious, and experienced enough to distrust patterns that ended too neatly. "Human representatives have not submitted any proposals this cycle," he said. Several council members dismissed it. "They are adapting," one replied. "They always complain when restricted." "But they are not complaining," Rilkesh said. That earned him a pause. For years, the galaxy had believed it understood humans. They were Deathworlders, yes, but predictable ones. Emotional, reactive, easy to pressure with delays, inspections, and carefully enforced rules. Containment without confrontation. That had been the strategy. It had worked until now. On the edge of human-controlled space, a monitoring station adjusted its orbit slightly, just enough to test reaction time. It was a small thing, a harmless thing. The humans noticed within seconds, but they did nothing. No warning. No protest. The station logged the data and reported back. "Reaction time confirms awareness," the operator said, but no response. That unsettled command more than resistance would have. Elsewhere, human trade convoys rerouted smoothly around new restrictions. Supply chains tightened. Communication between colonies increased, but outward traffic slowed. Humans were not pulling back. They were reorganizing. Captain Hale stood on the bridge of a human observation ship, staring at a star map filled with shifting markers. "They think we're hesitating," one officer said. Hale shook his head. "No," he replied. "They think we're still asking permission." On the Galactic Council, debate grew louder. "They are still expanding," a military delegate said, quietly. "That violates containment agreements," another snapped. Rilkesh listened, his unease deepening. "Humans do not expand quietly unless they are preparing," he said. "Preparing for what?" someone asked. Rilkesh did not answer. He remembered a report from decades ago buried deep in archives. A minor conflict on a forgotten frontier world. Humans had lost badly at first, then they had stopped attacking, they had studied, they had waited, and when they returned, the war had ended in weeks, not because humans were stronger, because they were ready. The Council dismissed his concerns, they always did. The moment that changed everything came without warning. A distant system on the edge of mapped space sent out a distress signal. Not human, not Council-aligned. Unknown, it was weak, fragmented, panicked. The Council delayed response. "It could be a trap," they said. "It is outside our jurisdiction," they said. While they debated, the signal reached human space. Human analysts recognized it instantly, not by language, but by structure. Fear compressed into data. A call made by someone who knew time was running out. Captain Hale watched the analysis finish. "Do we notify the Council?" someone asked. Hale considered it. "They already have it," he said. "They chose not to answer." "And us?" "We observe," Hale replied. "Then we decide." Human ships moved, not as a fleet, not openly. Small groups repositioned along forgotten routes. Sensors activated long idle arrays. No weapons powered up. Yet, at the distress location, something waited, not a fleet, not an enemy that announced itself. The first human ship arrived and stopped at a safe distance. It broadcast a simple message. "We are here. Identify." The reply was not words, it was space itself bending. Gravity twisted, then stabilized like something testing its grip. The human ship did not retreat. That was the first mistake the galaxy realized it had made. Back on the Council world, alarms rang. "Gravitational anomalies detected," an officer shouted. "Same signature as multiple lost expeditions." Panic spread. "That region is forbidden," someone said. "No one survives prolonged exposure." Rilkesh felt cold. "Humans are there," he said. The Council froze. "They shouldn't be," a delegate whispered. "They didn't ask," Rilkesh replied. The human ship sent another signal, calm, deliberate. "We are not hostile. We are listening." Something answered, not with attack, with attention. The galaxy watched, holding its breath, as data poured in faster than Council systems could process. Human networks absorbed it, analyzed it, shared it internally, and still no weapons fired. Captain Hale received a secure message from Earth. "Confirm threat level. Do not provoke." Hale looked at the impossible readings on his screen. "This isn't a war," he said quietly. "It's a test." Across the galaxy, fear began to replace confidence. Because for the first time, humanity was not reacting. They were engaging on their terms, and somewhere deep in Council space, Ambassador Rilkesh finally understood the truth. This was not the moment humans became unstoppable. This was the moment the galaxy realized they already were.
The Galactic Council reacted slowly. That was not unusual. The Council was built to prevent panic, not to respond quickly. Every decision passed through layers of debate, tradition, and pride, but this time delay felt dangerous. Ambassador Rilkesh stood alone in a side chamber, watching live data scroll across a curved display. The human ship near the anomaly had not moved for hours. It was still there, listening. That is not normal behavior, Rilkesh muttered. Most species would have withdrawn by now. Even Council fleets avoided regions with unstable gravity signatures. Entire expeditions had vanished in the past, erased without warning. Humans had stopped and waited. The Council reconvened in emergency session. Human presence is unauthorized, a military delegate said sharply. They are interfering with a classified containment zone. They entered after we refused to act, another replied. That complicates enforcement. Voices overlapped. Accusations formed quickly. Rilkesh raised one limb for silence. You are focusing on where they are, he said, not what they are doing. And what is that? A delegate asked. They are gathering information, Rilkesh replied. Not just about the anomaly, about us. That unsettled the chamber. Across human space, the response was calm and methodical. The lone ship near the anomaly was no longer alone. Additional human vessels arrived, quietly, at extreme distances, forming wide observation arcs. No fleet formation, no show of force. They were positioning sensors. Captain Hale reviewed the updated data feeds. Patterns were emerging. The gravity distortions were not random. They pulsed in cycles, reacting to mass, energy output, and communication attempts. It's responsive, an analyst said, but not aggressive. That's worse, Hale replied. On Earth, analysts connected the anomaly's behavior with archived reports of missing Council expeditions. Each disappearance followed a similar sequence: approach, scan, escalation, loss. Everyone who rushed died, one analyst summarized, and those who stayed, another asked. None stayed long enough to find out. Hale looked at the feed from the anomaly again. We're staying, he said. The anomaly shifted, not violently. Deliberately, the space around it compressed slightly, like a muscle flexing. Sensors flared, then stabilized. It's aware of us, an officer said. Yes, Hale replied, and it's measuring restraint. Back on the Council world, Rilkesh received a private briefing. Human trade traffic had increased between minor systems outside Council oversight. Information exchanges were accelerating. Defensive coordination was spreading quietly. They're building networks, the intelligence officer said. Without us, Rilkesh closed his eyes. They've stopped trying to belong, he said. They're preparing to operate independently. The Council attempted to reassert control. Orders were sent to slow human logistics further. Inspection delays increased. Diplomatic responses were postponed. No explanation was given. The humans noticed immediately. They did not protest. They adapted. Human supply routes shifted inward. Shared resources increased. Manufacturing accelerated. Training schedules tightened. Containment was having the opposite effect. It was strengthening them. Near the anomaly, a Council-aligned probe entered the region without notifying human observers. It approached too quickly, powering active scans. Captain Hale watched the trajectory. They're rushing, he said. Should we warn them? Someone asked. Hale hesitated. They already know the risk, he replied. The probe reached scanning range. Space twisted, the probe vanished. No explosion, no debris, just absence. The anomaly settled. Silence followed. The human ships did not move. They recorded everything. Back in the Council chamber, panic finally broke through restraint. We lost another asset, a delegate shouted. This thing is hostile, Rilkesh stood. No, he said firmly. It reacts to behavior, not allegiance. That is meaningless, the delegate snapped. It means humans are still alive, Rilkesh replied. The chamber fell quiet because the human ships were still there, still observing, still calm. Near the anomaly, the gravity field softened slightly. Data streams shifted, patterns adjusted. It's changing, an analyst said, based on us. Captain Hale nodded. It's learning, he said, and so are we. He sent a message not to the anomaly but to Earth. Behavioral response confirmed. Risk high. Escalation unnecessary. Recommend continued observation. The reply came quickly. Approved. Maintain posture. Do not provoke. The galaxy watched in growing unease. Humans were not trying to defeat the anomaly. They were trying to understand it. And worse for the Council, they were succeeding. Rilkesh addressed the Council one last time that cycle. You believe humans are becoming dangerous, he said, but you misunderstand why. Then explain, a delegate demanded. Rilkesh met their gaze. Because they are willing to wait, he said, and they are willing to learn. Silence filled the chamber. That night, across multiple systems, Council analysts reached the same quiet conclusion. Containment had failed. Not because humans resisted, but because they evolved beyond it. And the moment the galaxy truly understood humans were unstoppable was not when they fought back. It was when they stopped needing permission to act. The Council decided to act, not because they understood the situation, but because they were afraid of losing control of it. Ambassador Rilkesh felt at the moment the sealed order appeared in his private channel. No debate, no delay. The highest authorization level, used only when the council believed its authority was being challenged. A containment action, not against the anomaly, against the humans. They're doing this wrong, Rilkesh said quietly. Across council space, navigation lanes near the anomaly were restricted. Human ships were ordered, politely, officially, to withdraw for safety reasons. Surveillance arrays shifted to track every human movement. The message was clear. This is no longer your concern. Captain Hale received the order while standing on the bridge, staring at the slow, steady pulse of distorted space ahead. They're asking us to leave, an officer said. Hale did not answer immediately. They waited too long, he said finally. Do we comply? Someone asked. Hale shook his head. No, he said. We remain exactly where we are. The human ships did not advance. They did not power weapons. They did not send protests. They stayed. That silence was louder than any refusal. Near the anomaly, something shifted again. The gravity field tightened briefly, then relaxed. Sensors registered a new pattern, less random, more focused. It's reacting to external pressure, an analyst said. Not just us. Hale nodded. It knows something changed, he said, and it's watching who caused it. Back on the council world, Rilkesh stood before the chamber, his voice calm but urgent. You are provoking a reaction, he warned, from both sides. We are restoring order, a military delegate replied. Humans do not decide where they operate. They are already there, Rilkesh said. And they have not escalated. That does not matter, the delegate snapped. They are setting precedent. Rilkesh felt a chill. Yes, he said, and you are teaching them how we respond to uncertainty. The council ignored him. The next step was approved. A council strike group was dispatched, not to attack, but to assert presence. Heavily armed ships entered the region near the anomaly, positioning themselves between the human vessels and the distortion. They broadcast a single message: withdraw immediately. This area is under council authority. The human reply was short. We are conducting observation. We are not interfering. The council commander scoffed. Observation ends now, he said. He ordered active scans, high energy, focused. The anomaly reacted instantly. Space folded inward sharply, far more violently than before. Alarms screamed across the council ships as gravity spiked. One ship lost power. Another vanished. The rest pulled back in panic. The anomaly did not pursue. It stabilized. The human ships had not moved. They had not scanned. They had not escalated. They had simply watched. On Captain Hale's bridge, the air was tense. It ignored us, an officer said softly. Focused on them. Hale nodded. Because we didn't force it, he said. Data streamed in faster than before. The anomaly's reactions were no longer random. They followed clear rules humans were beginning to understand. It punishes aggression, an analyst said, especially rushed aggression. And restraint, Hale asked. The analyst hesitated. It tolerates it, he said. Maybe even prefers it. Across the galaxy, the council reeled. 2 ships lost, not destroyed, removed. Fear finally replaced arrogance. Rilkesh addressed the chamber again, his voice steady. You wanted proof humans are dangerous, he said. This is proof you are not ready. A delegate rounded on him. Are you suggesting humans control this thing? No, Rilkesh replied. I am suggesting they understand it better than we do. That truth settled heavily, because understanding meant influence. Near the anomaly, the distortion shifted again. This time it sent something outward, not an attack, not data, a pattern. Human systems caught it immediately. It's a signal, an officer said, not language, behavior. Hale studied the translation. It's asking a question, he said. What kind? Someone asked. Hale read aloud. Why are you still here? The bridge fell silent. Hale considered the response carefully. Then he transmitted. Because leaving without understanding causes harm. The anomaly paused. Gravity stabilized further. The pulsing slowed. For the first time since its discovery, the region felt calm. Back on the council world, Rilkesh watched the live feed, his breath caught. They answered, he whispered. They what? A delegate demanded. They answered honestly, Rilkesh said. The anomaly sent another signal, this one more complex, longer. Human systems translated it over long seconds. When the meaning resolved, Hale felt the weight of it. It's not just a threat, he said. It's a test of what? An officer asked. Hale looked at the stars beyond the distortion. Of who deserves to keep expanding, he said. The realization hit the council like a blow. This thing was not random. It was not hostile by nature. It was judging behavior. And humans, quiet, patient, adaptable humans, were passing. Rilkesh spoke the truth no one wanted to hear. The galaxy believed humans were unstoppable because of strength, he said, but that was never it. Then what is it? Someone asked. Rilkesh answered slowly. They are unstoppable because they learn faster than fear spreads. The council fell silent. because the line had already been crossed, and humanity was now on the other side of it. The anomaly did not speak again right away. That silence was heavier than the gravity distortions. Human ships remained in position, engines steady, weapons cold, no sudden moves, no attempts to close distance. They had learned the pattern well enough now. Rushing led to loss, waiting led to answers. Captain Hale stood with his hands behind his back, watching the slow pulse of distorted space ahead. The anomaly's shape was becoming clearer, not solid, not empty, but layered like folded space held in place by intent. It's stabilizing, an analyst said quietly. Around us, Hale nodded. It's choosing who to talk to, he replied. Across council space, Ambassador Rilkesh faced a chamber that no longer argued loudly. Fear had sharpened into focus. Ships had been lost, authority questioned. And worst of all, humans had not been punished for disobedience. They are still there, a delegate said, still ignoring our orders. They are still alive, Rilkesh replied. Which should concern you more? The chamber fell quiet. Near the anomaly, the gravity field shifted again. This time, something emerged from the distortion. Not a ship, not a weapon. A structure. Ancient, massive, purpose-built. Human sensors lit up with impossible readings. It's not a natural phenomenon, an officer said. It's engineered. Hale felt a chill. By who? Someone asked. The answer came in pieces. The structure unfolded slowly, revealing internal layers filled with data reservoirs and control systems older than any known civilization. Records streamed outward, not forced but offered. The anomaly was not an anomaly at all. It was a machine, a watcher. Human analysts worked feverishly, isolating the data and translating its meaning. The story that formed was older than the Galactic Council, older than most recorded history. The Watcher had been built by a civilization that once spanned much of the galaxy. Powerful, advanced, confident, too confident. They had watched younger species rise, expand, and collide. Wars spread. Entire regions collapsed under unchecked growth. So they built a solution, not an empire, a filter. The Watcher's purpose was simple and terrible. Observe emerging civilizations. Test their behavior under pressure. Remove those that became dangerous too quickly, not out of cruelty, out of fear of repetition. Hale closed his eyes briefly. It judges, he said. Yes, an analyst replied. Not strength, not technology. Behavior, Hale finished. Back in the council chamber, Rilkesh felt the truth settle deep in his chest as the data reached them. It's been watching us, a delegate whispered. Since before the council existed, Rilkesh said, and it hasn't acted, another said. Why? Rilkesh answered quietly. Because we never triggered its concern. A pause. And humans? Someone asked. Rilkesh hesitated. They have, he said. But not the way you think. Near the structure, the Watcher sent another signal. Longer this time, clearer. Human systems translated it carefully. Containment initiated. Observation ongoing. Assessment incomplete. Hale frowned. Containment of what? An officer asked. Us, Hale replied. The realization spread across the bridge. Humanity was not facing a weapon. They were inside an evaluation. The Council's earlier actions, delays, restrictions, interference, appeared in the Watcher's records as behavioral data. The probe losses, the rushed scans, the strike group that forced interaction, all of it. You taught it how the galaxy reacts to fear, Hale said quietly. And it didn't like what it saw, the analyst replied. Back on the Council world, panic threatened to break order. If it decides we are dangerous, it won't decide lightly, Rilkesh said. It has rules. What rules? A delegate demanded. Rilkesh looked at the human data feed. Escalation, he said. Adaptation. Cooperation. And who is passing? Someone asked. Rilkesh did not need to answer. Near the Watcher, Hale prepared a response. Not a demand, not a defense, an explanation. We observe to prevent harm. We adapt under pressure. We do not erase others to feel safe. The Watcher paused. Gravity stabilized further. Internal systems powered down slightly. It was listening. Across the galaxy, this was the moment everything changed. Because the Watcher was not reacting to humanity's strength. It was reacting to restraint. The Council tried one final measure, a formal declaration. Humans were ordered to withdraw immediately, under threat of sanctions. Hale read the message and shook his head. They still think authority matters here, he said. Earth responded before he could. Denied, continued observation authorized, responsibility accepted, responsibility. That word echoed through human networks. They were not asking permission. They were acknowledging consequence. The Watcher sent another message. Short, direct, clarify responsibility. Hale transmitted the answer without hesitation. If we fail, we will correct. If we cause harm, we will stop. If we are the threat, we will limit ourselves. Silence followed. Then something unexpected happened. The Watcher changed classification. Human systems flagged the update immediately. Designation shift, an analyst said. From subject to candidate. Hale exhaled slowly. Candidate for what? Someone asked. Hale looked at the ancient structure. To watch, he said. Back in the council chamber, Rilkesh felt a cold understanding spread. You see now, he said softly. The galaxy did not lose control to humans. We lost it to our own fear. The Watcher had not chosen humanity because they were unstoppable. It had chosen them because they were willing to stop themselves, and that terrified everyone else. The Watcher did not decide immediately. That alone frightened the Galactic Council. For the first time since its discovery, the ancient machine remained silent. No gravity pulses, no signals, no visible changes. It simply waited. Human ships stayed in place. They did not reposition. They did not reinforce. No additional fleets arrived. Earth sent only one instruction. Hold, observe, do not interfere. Captain Hale followed the order without question. His crew did the same. Every system remained steady. Every decision logged. The Watcher was still evaluating. Across council space, fear became pressure. It has gone dormant, a delegate said nervously. What if it has already decided? Rilkesh stood at the edge of the chamber, arms folded. No, he said, this is not dormancy. Then what is it? Confirmation, Rilkesh replied. It is waiting to see what we do next. The council did exactly what humans expected. They panicked. A hardline faction pushed a desperate proposal through emergency channels, not debated, not announced, a covert action. A psychic intrusion team would attempt direct contact with the Watcher, mentally mapping its decision core. The goal was simple, force an answer. Rilkesh felt sick when he learned of it. You will fail, he warned. And you will teach it the wrong lesson. But fear had already overruled reason. The psychic pulse was launched without notifying human observers. Captain Hale detected it instantly. Unknown energy spike, an officer reported. Non-human origin, Hale's expression hardened. They didn't listen, he said. The Watcher reacted, not violently, not yet. Space around the structure tightened sharply, forming layered gravity barriers. The psychic signal did not penetrate. Instead, it rebounded. Across council space, the psychic team collapsed. Not dead, but permanently damaged. Their minds overwhelmed not by pain, but by scale. Rilkesh felt the echo ripple through the mental network. Memories not his own pressed against his thoughts. Patterns, histories, extinct civilizations erased quietly because they refused to slow down. The Watcher did not retaliate. It recorded human systems detected the change instantly. It logged the intrusion, an analyst said, as aggression. Hale closed his eyes briefly. That was the final mistake, he said. The Watcher spoke, not to the Council, to humanity. Its signal was clear, structured, and unmistakable. Final evaluation triggered. Clarify intent under provocation. The galaxy held its breath. Captain Hale transmitted Earth's response channel. The answer came back faster than any before. We disengage from all Council conflicts immediately. We withdraw non-essential assets. We do not escalate. The order stunned even human officers. They attacked first, someone said quietly. Yes, Hale replied. And now they learn what restraint looks like. Human ships began to pull back slowly, visibly, without threat. Observation continued, but distance increased. They were stepping away from power. The Council did not understand. They're retreating, a delegate shouted. They fear the decision, Rilkesh shook his head. No, he said, they are proving something. The Watcher processed the data. Human withdrawal, Council aggression, pattern recognition accelerated. The ancient machine activated deeper layers, records of past evaluations, past failures, past erasures. One truth emerged clearly. Every civilization that tried to control the Watcher had been removed. Every one that tried to escape responsibility had been ignored. Only one category remained, those willing to limit themselves. The Watcher sent its final message, this time to everyone. Assessment complete. Silence followed, then the verdict. Humanity classification, unstoppable by restraint, not force. The words echoed across the galaxy. Unstoppable, not because humans conquered, not because they destroyed, but because they adapted without losing control of themselves. The Watcher continued. Containment of humanity unnecessary. Observation delegated. Rilkesh felt the meaning settle like gravity in his chest. They are passing the watch, he whispered. Humanity was not being judged anymore. They were being trusted. The Council erupted. This is unacceptable. They cannot be given this role. They are still a threat. The Watcher did not respond. It had already decided. Humanity had faced pressure, fear, provocation, and stepped back instead of forward. That choice had saved them. Captain Hale received the final internal transmission from Earth. Prepare for long-term responsibility. This was never about winning. Hale looked out at the stars, at the quiet shape of the Watcher slowly powering down. They finally understand, he said softly. What? An officer asked. Hale answered without hesitation. That unstoppable doesn't mean unstoppable force. Across Council space, systems began adjusting, treaties rewritten, power recalculated, fear redirected. The galaxy had crossed a line it could not uncross. And it had learned the hardest truth of all. The most dangerous species was not the one that rushed to war, it was the one that learned when to stop. The galaxy did not celebrate. There were no cheers, no sudden shifts of borders, no human fleets marching into foreign systems. If anything, the stars felt quieter than before. That silence was the proof. The Watcher remained near the anomaly, but its presence faded. Systems powered down. Gravity distortions softened until normal space slowly returned. The ancient machine had finished its task. It did not leave. It simply stopped judging. Human ships withdrew to safe distances, maintaining observation but no longer forming patterns. One by one, they returned to known lanes, leaving behind records, not claims. Captain Hale stood on the bridge as the final status report came in. Watcher systems dormant, an officer said. No hostile activity, no evaluation signals. Hale nodded. It trusts us to notice when things go wrong, he said. That responsibility settled heavily on every human system at once. Across the Galactic Council, confusion ruled. They had prepared for domination. They had prepared for war. They had not prepared for irrelevance. Ambassador Rilkesh addressed the chamber for the last time as a council representative. You feared humans because you thought they would take control, he said. But you were wrong. A delegate asked the question everyone feared. Then what will they do? Rilkesh answered calmly. They will watch, he said, the way they were watched. The council tried to reassert itself. Statements were released. Authority was claimed. Sanctions were threatened. None of it mattered. Trade had already shifted. Minor systems now coordinated directly with human advisors. Defense networks shared early warnings freely, without command or demand. Humans did not rule. They stabilized. On Earth, leaders met in private, not to celebrate but to argue, not over power but over limits. We cannot become the thing that tested us, one leader said, and we cannot ignore what we've been given, another replied. The final decision was simple and very human. No single authority, no empire. The responsibility would be shared, layered, and always questioned. Humanity would not decide who deserved to exist. They would decide when to step in and when to step back. Years passed. The galaxy adjusted. Conflicts still happened, but fewer escalated beyond recovery. Early warnings arrived sooner. Mediators arrived faster. When human ships appeared, it was not with weapons powered, but with channels open. That frightened some. It reassured others. Crathan lived long enough to see the change. He stood once more before a council chamber, older now, slower, but no longer ignored. He was asked to speak to young diplomats about the war that never truly began. They call humans unstoppable, a young delegate said. Why? Crathan thought for a moment. Because you cannot force them to rush, he said. And you cannot scare them into mistakes forever. But they have power, the delegate pressed. Yes, Crathan replied, and they remember what power does when it forgets restraint. Zyrekel joined him afterward, her form steadier than it had been in years. The galaxy survived this, she said, because humans didn't try to win it, Crathan replied. Near the anomaly, a small human station remained. No banners, no monuments, just a quiet listening post. Its purpose was simple. Watch patterns, notice change, ask questions before acting. The Watcher never reactivated. It never needed to. Humanity had learned the lesson it was built to teach. That unchecked growth ends in collapse. That fear creates enemies faster than weapons. That restraint is not weakness. It is endurance. Long after the Council lost its old authority, long after empires faded and new alliances formed, one truth remained accepted across the stars. Humans were not unstoppable because they conquered the galaxy. They were unstoppable because they refused to become what the galaxy feared. And in the end, that was what changed everything. Not force, not fear, but the decision to stop before it was too late.